Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Fusion Deck User in a different Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Quick update. What If copy system in Naruto will be going on hold soon, since we've nearly caught up with the author. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these three fanfics. What if transmigrated in One Piece and becoming a marine? What if transmigrated as Minato Namikaze? What if transmigrated into a nightmare mode Dragon Ball world? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 101, Card Exchange. Elder Entity NTSS is a fusion monster from the Cthulhu Mythos series released after Elder Entity Norden. Despite being a fusion monster, it's only level 4, while boasting a solid 2500 ATK. And as a fusion monster, it has two effects. The first allows you to special summon a level 4 monster from your hand once per turn. The second triggers when it's sent to the graveyard, letting you target and destroy a card on the field. Unfortunately, Hikaru's current deck has no way of fusion summoning or special summoning this monster. And maybe, it never will. Because its summoning method is, send one Synchro monster and one XYZ monster from your field to the graveyard to special summon this card. So, in most cases, the actual way to use this card is to send it directly from the extra deck to the graveyard, and activate its effect to destroy a card, treating it as a simple removal tool. Although Hikaru has no means to summon this card directly at the moment, it doesn't really matter. If nothing else, figuring out a way to send it to the graveyard as a bomb card is good enough. After all, Hikaru's deck includes cards just like this. If he mills it with Fusion Guard, it's basically pure profit. Of course, it's a bit tricky to pull off now, but if he ever gets in touch with Alistair in the future, he might be able to run it through the invoked engine. There's always a chance to make it work. And beyond Elder Entity NTSS, among the 30 fusion monsters Magical Scientist gave him, there are several other cards worth using. Like Pair Psychroid and Dark Balter the Terrible, both of which have already proven themselves in endgame scenarios. Especially Pair Psychroid. Seeing that card made Hikaru feel like the whole world lit up. Although it's a machine-type monster, the moment it was added to Hikaru's deck, it instantly became the card with the easiest fusion condition. 2 machine monsters. Even though it only has 1600 ATK, it can attack directly. After attacking, you can use Metamorphosis to turn it into Dark Balter the Terrible. Using Balter's effect to pay 1000 LP to negate normal spell cards gives Hikaru some solid pressure on the opponent's turn, not bad at all. You're quite the impressive human warrior. Magical Scientist clapped repeatedly, then arranged a few helper spirits and told Hikaru that Miss Winda seemed to really like cup noodles, so he prepared a few extra crates to give to him. Hikaru glanced at Tiara. Tiara nodded furiously, then floated behind Hikaru and said to the Magical Scientist, "Quick, reboot the system. I want to play too." Magical Scientist didn't mind and restarted the system, letting Tiara take the controls. Watching Tiara eagerly figure out how to dismantle the opponent, Hikaru shrugged, found a seat with the Magical Scientist, and struck up a conversation. To be honest, Magical Scientist had no plans to leave the village of spellcasters, but Tiara's words had sparked a bit of curiosity in him. Still, he had a lot of researchers and spirit staff under his command, and as the director of the lab, he couldn't just make decisions lightly. So, he decided to tell Hikaru his original idea. Card trade. Hikaru was genuinely surprised. Every dual spirit he'd encountered so far either shared their power or transformed into cards to follow him. None had ever proposed trading cards. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a trading card game. After all, wanting to trade cards is perfectly natural. For instance, Hikaru once traded Cybernetic Revolution with Zane to get Cyber Dragon. But thinking about it, Magical Scientist starting off by offering 30 fusion monsters made it understandable. It made sense. Magical Scientist was clearly a spirit who specialized in collecting cards for all sorts of experiments. So, having a stash of cards was only natural. He showed Hikaru his collection and card list. Hikaru looked through it. From the mediocre to some simply powerful monsters, all were present. Some of the fusion monsters had already been given to Hikaru as prizes, and were marked as out of stock, like the ultra-rare Elder Entity NTSS, which Magical Scientist didn't have a second copy of. On the other hand, normal monsters like Crimson Sunbird and Flame Swordsman, cards with no real effects and lackluster ATK, he had in abundance. Hikaru exchanged some spare fusion spells with Magical Scientist and got a Flame Swordsman and 2 Dark Flares in return. He never traded his monster cards with others. On one hand, dual spirits were real beings in this world, and deserved respect. At the very least, he needed to trust the other party. On the other hand, as a seasoned player, he had to be prepared. Just because a monster isn't useful now doesn't mean it won't be essential later. Even cards like Fabled Lurie, a level 1 light fiend that hadn't seen play in years, suddenly became meta-relevant because it fit into a new archetype. Any of his monsters might become vital combo pieces one day. He wasn't about to lose them. Besides, he had tons of extra fusion spells and traps. To Magical Scientist, those held way more value than fusion monsters he might already have, or have seen before. As for why Hikaru specifically grabbed Flame Swordsman and Dark Flares, it was purely for insurance. Even if they haven't evolved yet, if they do later and he doesn't have their base forms, he'll have to go hunt them down again. Better to prepare early. Hey, Hikaru. How do I deal with this part? Hurry up and tell me. By the time Hikaru was finishing up his card trades and promised to bring more fusion cards next time, Tiara was already getting impatient. She seemed to have hit the endgame with the last warrior from another planet, and its effect, preventing summons, had left her frustrated. She called out to Hikaru. Hikaru chuckled and shook his head as he walked over. You can set a monster, then use creature swap to shift the field. Wait, you can set monsters? Tiara was amazed. Got it. That's so simple. I didn't realize setting had this kind of use. I always thought that if you could summon a monster in defense position, what was the point of setting? So that's what it's for. This world really is special. Tiara thought. Hikaru shrugged. Normally, monsters are summoned in attack position, and defense position plays like Alistair's was another level entirely. Hikaru and Tiara spent a bit more time playing out some endgames with Magical Scientist, while Tiara seemed to enjoy it. Eventually, when Bastion called Hikaru back to the academy, they said goodbye to Magical Scientist. Until next time, Mr. Magical Scientist. Keep coming back with cool games. Magical Scientist laughed heartily and said he would. Like a kindly grandpa, he added that he also collects fusion monsters, and might have more new ones by Hikaru's next visit. Hikaru was genuinely looking forward to that. So far, Magical Scientist had been the greatest benefactor to his extra deck, giving him 30 different fusion monsters to choose from. It was fitting that such a powerful card, one that can pay 1000 LP to bring out fusion monsters endlessly, would be this generous with them. Hikaru wobbled out the door with several crates of cup noodles. Tiara looked over, saw how unsteady he was, and waved her hand. A few violet puppet strings emerged and wrapped around the crates, lifting them into the air to help Hikaru easily reunite with Bastio. The two of them exchanged a look and saw delight in each other's faces. This dimensional trip wasn't dangerous, and was incredibly fruitful. For both of them, it had been a huge win. Hikaru had fixed the gaps in his extra deck. And Bastion, with the mathematician spirit following him, had finally resolved his long-standing issue of weak spirit affinity, a timely solution, and a joyous one. In fact, after talking with mathematician today, he had already decided the direction of his next deck, and was ready to give Hikaru some serious competition this semester. Haha, I'm looking forward to it, Shino. Oomph, just you wait. I'm claiming the top spot in our grade this term. Ho, then you'll have to beat Chaz first, 3rd place. The two laughed as they returned to the dimensional gate, lightheartedly stepping back into the human world for the first time, thinking maybe, just maybe, traveling to another dimension wasn't all that bad. Then, they noticed students running everywhere across campus. What happened? What's going on? Next to Hikaru, the crates slowly descended and stacked up neatly. Bastion called out, but the students didn't even seem to hear him. He dropped his hand, disheartened. Ha ha ha. Hikaru couldn't help laughing, which made Bastion blush. Bastion had always struggled with presents. Even now, he'd been ignored despite calling out first. It was both funny and a little pitiful. One of the students from the Fusion Club stopped and shouted, "Hikaru! Something crazy's going on. You should head back to the club and find a TV. News is blowing up. Mr. Kaiba discovered another new dimension with humans in it. He's calling it Dimension S. Dimension S." Hikaru and Bastion looked at each other, sharing a look of utter shock. No wonder. Another third kind encounter. Chapter 102, Tuners or Fusion Material 2. We're now outside Kaiba Corp headquarters. Hikaru rushed back to the clubroom, found a seat, and watched the news broadcast on TV. On screen, a swarm of reporters had crowded in front of Kaiba Corp's gates, pushing and shoving beneath two massive Blue Eyes white dragon statues. A female reporter fought her way to the front and raised her microphone high, trying to get a word from Seto Kaiba. "President Kaiba, what kind of world did you discover this time?" "President Kaiba, we've heard you encountered an unimaginable new phenomenon." "What is it?" "President Kaiba." But all that was met with a sharp humph. The entire crowd of reporters instantly fell silent. Like cicadas in winter, they froze, staring straight at Seto Kaiba, waiting for him to speak. "Whoa, President Kaiba is so cool." Jaden sat cross-legged in front of the TV, both hands propping him up, marveling at how Kaiba had silenced everyone without a single word. "Humph, of course." Chaz crossed his arms and raised his chin proudly. "That's the Mr. Kaiba. Compared to him, you've got a long way to go, Chaz." "Keep working hard." Atticus plucked a soft note from his guitar and cheerfully teased Chaz. "Don't let his casual demeanor fool you, Atticus doesn't scare easily." Meanwhile, Seto Kaiba finally spoke. "To all duelists around the world watching this broadcast. Brave duelists, proud duelists. Behold, a new era of dueling is upon us." With a dramatic flair, he pulled out a card from who knows where, pinching it between his fingers as he declared, "I call it, the Dimensional Duel Era. Soon, duelists from across dimensions will clash, surpass themselves, and reach greater heights than ever before." With that, he turned on his heel and strode away, leaving behind a confused crowd of reporters who had no idea what just happened. Those watching the live broadcast, Hikaru and the others, shared the same awkward but polite expressions. Even Chaz bowed his head, pretending he wasn't there. Only Jaden excitedly shouted, "Oh!" He was just thrilled by the words "Dimensional Duel Era" and didn't care about the logic behind it. Well, chances are, Kaiba himself wasn't interested in explaining either. Fortunately, after Seto Kaiba marched off, a younger, composed, and handsome Kaiba Corp executive in a white suit stepped into view. "Ah! It's Makuba," a reporter shouted in recognition. "Mr. Makuba, what exactly is going on?" Others rushed forward with microphones. With someone finally taking questions, the press surged like a tide, frantically asking for answers. As the world's strongest active duelist, Seto Kaiba was notoriously arrogant, and reporters rarely dared chase after him. But his younger brother, Kaiba Corp's vice president Makuba Kaiba, was known for his affable nature, clear explanations, and sense of responsibility. Now slowly taking charge of the company, he was the go-to after Seto left. Makuba coughed, paused to let the crowd settle, then cleared his throat again before explaining. "What my brother just showcased was a brand new duel monster legend, the White Stone." As he spoke, he pulled a monster card from his pocket. The moment he did, cameras clicked wildly, and many reporters leaned in for a better look. "Light attribute, level 1 monster? A tuner? What's that?" With something completely new before them, the reporters burst into excitement. "This is what we discovered in the new world." Makuba put the card away, folded one hand behind his back, and raised the other. According to research from Kaiba Corp's Science Division and Dr. Fudo, we've confirmed that a strange particle found in Dimension S also exists in our world. In other words, unlike other impossible summoning methods, this brand new one can be achieved in our dimension. Ah. Wow. So it's related to that tuner thing? Oh. Even Jaden watching the stream couldn't contain his excitement. Makuba nodded, then shook his head. Yes. This is a new special summoning method called Synchro Summon. However, despite Kaiba Corp's best efforts, we've been unable to fully implement synchros or synchro monsters yet. We may need deeper communication with Dimension S to fully understand its secrets. Unfortunately, the other world is extremely resistant to outsiders. Our Kaiba Corp expedition team met heavy opposition. Makuba sighed. Though Kaiba Corp was once an arms dealer, it had long since transformed into an entertainment company. After all, in this world, dueling makes far more money than war. And as two brothers who'd suffered greatly in the past, they would never choose invasion. Besides, Makuba could understand the other side. Their previous contact with Dimension X was a chance encounter. But this time, they had directly entered someone else's world and got caught by the local police. Of course, the higher-ups there would panic. Their company had to first ease the local suspicions, earn their trust, and only then foster friendly exchange. Still, while we can't yet synchro summon, tuner monsters can already be used. Kaiba Corp, along with Fantasy International, will be conducting pilot distributions soon, possibly through our subsidiaries or partner academies. Details. What followed was mostly marketing, but Makuba handled it with the composure of a seasoned executive. Having survived countless crises, including kidnappings, he'd grown into a capable leader. Compared to his older brother, who didn't bother with such trivialities, Makuba understood how to speak to ordinary people. Not bad at all. Nearby, Tiara suddenly floated up beside Hikaru. Hikaru, even though you forged Falco before, your dual disk kept showing an error with the card. Looks like that won't be a problem anymore. You should check later and see if it works. Hikaru nodded. Previously, with Tiara's help, Hikaru had obtained Shaddol Falco. In theory, that should have let Infusion summon El Shaddol Winda. But when he tried, he found Falco couldn't be used at all. After all, Shaddol Falco isn't just a flip monster, it's also a tuner monster. Hikaru had even considered modifying his dual disk himself, but it looks like Kaiba Corp had fixed it already. Whoa! Makuba just said our school's getting the pilot program too. Awesome! I'll cut back on other stuff. I'm saving up for the next card pack release. Wait, we're in the Fusion Club, remember? Don't say that. A few former members of the Polymerization Club glanced toward Hikaru. He shook his head, smiling. Everyone, what's the big deal? Fusion summoning uses all kinds of monsters as materials. Who says tuner monsters can't be used as fusion material? And even if we start using synchro summoning, so what? He chuckled. It's not like I'm going to bite. Exactly. Hikaru's fusion is the fusion that embraces all. Yeah. What's there to worry about? Hey, maybe someday Synchro and XYZ monsters will be usable as fusion materials. If anyone can pull that off, it's Hikaru. Tiara giggled and nodded nonstop. And funnily enough, Hikaru had just received a card like that yesterday. While Fusion Club buzzed with excitement, the Polymerization Club felt stiff and suffocating. Cyrus sat at the front, glancing left and right. He wanted to cheer, however the eerie silence around him made him suppress it. The longer he stayed in the Polymerization Club, the more he realized it just wasn't a place for people. Even if he wasn't in the Polymerization Club, he could imagine Hikaru's sunny smile saying, "It's okay. Even tuners can be part of fusion." Here? If no one had spoken up yet, it was only because the arguments hadn't started. The Polymerization Club was an exclusionary group. They rejected any summoning method outside of fusion, whether out of disgust or fear. The overall vibe was the same. Even someone as indecisive as Cyrus thought it was ridiculous. It's okay not to like something, but do you have to be hostile about it? Sigh. Big bro, if this keeps up, I don't think I can stay here. Meanwhile, Leo Akiba sat in silence for a while. Synchro dimension, huh? That means only one more world remains undiscovered, right? He calculated silently. That being the case, it's time to accelerate their own plans. Luckily, though Amaki Hikaru's influence had cost them many recruits, the power of the sacred beasts more than made up for it. Still, if a batch of tuner monsters is coming to the academy, that's an opportunity. Go. Dispatch someone. I want to buy every new card pack. Leo Akiba gave the order without a hint of emotion. Huh? Professor? Even the academy reps didn't understand. Buy all the card packs? That's bound to make enemies. Chapter 103, Duel of the New Cards. The day of the new card pack release arrived fast. With a thunderous hum, 5 or 6 planes flew in from overseas toward the island. A large group of students gathered outside the campus store, watching the planes in excitement, cheering loudly. A new series, even an entirely new category of monster cards, had sparked excitement among the students. Even girls like Alexis and others came over, eager to buy some packs. No matter if it didn't immediately boost their strength, pulling a powerful, rare tuner monster might make for a valuable trade. And, for Duel Academy students, that was a huge draw. Meanwhile, the representatives from the Polymerization Club's 3 dorms, Slifer Red, RA Yellow, and Obelisk Blue, finally squeezed to the front. To be honest, they didn't want to do this. Though they'd obeyed Leo Akiba's orders all this time, lately, they were starting to question their 3-year experience. The Blue dorm rep had it easier, his time in the club was smooth sailing so long as he followed orders. But the Red and Yellow dorm reps had begun doubting things. Were their actions really right? Nonetheless, after 3 years of pressure and threats, they had long since become accomplices. At this point, they couldn't just walk away. So, even when facing such ridiculous orders, they gritted their teeth and obeyed. Before long, the card packs arrived at the academy, escorted by black-suited agents. The students looked on as if witnessing a national treasure, while the agents carefully handed the boxes over to Tomo-san. She ordered her team to carry the boxes inside, then hung promotional banners outside the shop. A level 3 Toon warrior with 1600 ATK. Whoa, look at that Mist Valley shaman, so pretty. No, wait. I can't betray Dark Magician Girl. Wait, what? Psychic type? That's a whole new race, right? The students were ecstatic as they gawked at the poster reveals. Even without synchro summoning, these tuner monsters and related cards were clearly superior to this world's usual low-level monsters. While many students were still using normal monsters with just 1000 or 1200 ATK, these cards started at 1500 and had effects. So, naturally, they were more than worth a pull. Even without synchros, this was a huge advantage. Of course, student interest in drawing packs skyrocketed. Just then, Tiara suddenly appeared beside Hikaru, pointing at a card. Hikaru, try to get that one. Hikaru glanced over and spotted the card she meant, narrowing his eyes in thought. It was a Gen X controller. Level 3, Dark Attribute, Machine-type normal tuner monster with 1400 ATK. Gen X, huh? Hikaru remembered. In card lore, Gen X were creations made by Tiara after she was defeated by Sophia, designed to restore and reshape the environment. Their goal was to transform Sophia's world into Tiara's world. Unfortunately, due to various factors, alien invasions, elder gods awakening, they got dragged into disaster and perished. Even so, they reshaped much of the dual terminal world. In short, that card was related to Tiara. You could use that one as a base for other monsters, Tiara said casually. Of course, if you get extras, you can give me one. I quite like the little guy. As a robot who had once made major contributions to her, Tiara was very fond of Gen X controller. If she ever revived again, she wouldn't mind awarding Hikaru a title and building a monument to the card. Hikaru also waited to buy new card packs. He wasn't short on money anymore. Drawing extra cards he didn't have and stocking up fusion materials for super polymerization? That was great. Even if he didn't pull a Gen X controller, he could trade with someone who did. No big loss. Despite being a new tuner monster with a solid 1400 ATK, it wasn't even a high rarity in this set. As Hikaru waited for the shop to open and stepped forward, a sudden commotion broke out at the front. There were faint sounds of shouting, girls screaming, and something crashing. "What are you doing?" Jaden, sensing trouble, used his superhuman reflexes to force his way through the crowd and saw the scene inside. A few students had pinned two people in purple uniforms, one of whom was actually swinging punches. Jaden didn't hesitate. He dove in and separated them to prevent things from escalating. Hikaru took the chance to push inside and looked on curiously. The ones getting hit were from the Polymerization Club, which Hikaru recognized. They were the third-year dorm reps, Kurama Aim of red, Maruchi Hayato of yellow, and Yamaguchi Koda of blue. Hikaru had chatted with Maruchi Hayato before. They got along decently, but Hayato had refused to leave the club when Hikaru did. So basically, it was an ambush. What happened? Hikaru asked the two students who'd been hitting. Judging by their looks, they were in the same grade as Hikaru. What could have caused something this serious, underclassmen attacking upperclassmen, on a hierarchy-obsessed island like this? That guy tried to buy all the new card packs. One student roared. How is that fair? What? It's those Polymerization Club guys. Pa, of course it is. Can't believe they call themselves duelists. What's Professor Akaba teaching these kids? Even teachers trying to buy cards looked furious. The student reps lowered their heads, clearly ashamed. Hikaru rubbed his temples. Absurd. Technically, buying card packs early wasn't that big of a deal. Even Professor Growler once secretly bought the VWXYZ cards ahead of time. Nevertheless, even Growler didn't buy everything, just the rare ones. Buying everything? Never mind the money. It's just wrong. And Hikaru knew these guys. They didn't have the money to buy all the packs. Obviously, this was Leo Akaba's doing. But what did he want the cards for? Was he going to use synchro summoning? No. Hikaru realized something. Of course. The sacred beasts. Hikaru pieced it together. These new monsters likely synergized well with sacred beast cards, granting them new lifeblood. Seniors, why would you do something like this? Hikaru asked. Professor Akaba said these monsters are enemies. Maruchi muttered. He said only fusion summoning should exist because fusion is the noblest summoning method. Many students around them showed disgusted expressions. Even Jaden frowned. That same line, spoken like that. Ridiculous. Hikaru instantly shot back. It's precisely because other summoning methods exist, because fusion is different and unique, that its nobility shines through. Seniors, your mindset needs correction. Maruchi shrank back, but still muttered, but we already paid. Hikaru scratched his head. No. At that moment, the black-suited agents finally spoke. You haven't. Everyone turned to them. Normally, they'd leave after delivering cards. This was the first time they stayed. Chaz waved at Hikaru from the crowd. Hikaru blinked, then understood. So that's it, Kaiba sent them here specifically to investigate. Amazing. Sito Kaiba. The lead agent adjusted his glasses and said, the president predicted chaos from the launch of a new card set and monster type. So, Kaiba Corp has prepared a special card pack contest regulation. As he spoke, he unrolled a long document and displayed it. According to the rules, each student can buy a maximum of 5 card boxes. If students argue over the same cards, they can duel for them. As he spoke, another agent brought out a box of packs. Any student who loses a duel while trying to monopolize packs will be disqualified from purchasing. The winner, however, will receive a special rare card. Hikaru grinned and looked at the 3 dorm reps. The blue rep stepped forward, straightened his clothes, and declared, the Polymerization Club has over 100 students. I'm buying for them. So I'll take them all. What a joke! You actually said that with a straight face? Hikaru snapped. Then I'll reserve them for every other student in this school. Hikaru, don't force us. Seniors, don't force me. Hikaru shook his head, raised his left hand, and with a flick, his dual disc sprang open. Enough. I'm done talking. You don't deserve explanations. If you're really going to keep forcing this, then let's settle it with a duel. After all, based on what you said, you want to buy all the packs. That means you'll have to duel for those special rare cards too, right? Exactly. The watching students all nodded. They knew how the polymerization club worked. If orders from above had to be followed, then they'd have to face Hikaru head-on. Some students even burst into laughter. Nice. We get to see Hikaru crush the polymerization club again. Soon, the students cleared a wide space in front of the store for the duel. The blue rep's face turned crimson with rage. He stepped forward and snarled, "Don't get cocky, Hikaru. The professor gave us new power. Even you can't beat me now." His tone was arrogant, though his posture screamed cowardice. Enough talk. Duel. Chapter 104, The Fear of a New Summon. Duel begins. Amagi Hikaru, LP, 4000. Yamaguchi, LP, 4000. I'll go first. Yamaguchi drew a card, gave it a glance. I set a monster in defense position and set a card. Turn end. Surprisingly standard. No flashy plays. Hikaru paused, then understood. No matter what new power Leo Akiba might have given them, there was no way they could openly use something like Hamon, Lord of Striking Thunder, in front of all these teachers and students. The strange field wasn't active either, so it couldn't be a sacred beast. Then what was it? Hikaru frowned thoughtfully. My turn, draw. Hikaru swiftly drew a card from his deck. Let's go, Hikaru. Crush them for us, Hikaru. For once, even those who usually found Hikaru a bit much, or didn't care for popular figures, were cheering him on since the Polymerization Club's actions had crossed a serious line this time. Usually, no one minded some strong arming in a duel, it just meant your skills weren't up to snuff. But monopolizing new card packs? That was asking for it. Hikaru acknowledged their cheers with a good mood. After all, his first major self-assigned missions since reincarnating were both going splendidly. Make life hard for Egghead Man and Fusion is just ignoble. I activate the spell card, Fusion Armament. Hikaru revealed a spell card illustrated with Flame Swordsman. Reveal one fusion monster from the extra deck, then special summon one of its listed materials from your deck or graveyard. I reveal Dark Flare Knight and special summon Flame Swordsman from the extra deck. There it is, Hikaru's 10,000 methods of summoning Flame Swordsman. But monsters summoned by this effect can't battle. Yamaguchi countered quickly, having done his homework. Then how about this? Hikaru flipped another card from his hand, a long and used one. Normal spell, Metamorphosis. I send Flame Swordsman to the graveyard to special summon Dark Balter the Terrible from the extra deck. The swordsman waved at the crowd like a champion before vanishing into a swirl of fire. Even though Flame Swordsman only had 1800 ATK, he was immensely popular among first years studying fusion, especially since Hikaru had used so many strange ways to summon him. When his virtual image waved, students couldn't help but cheer. You're quite the fan favorite, a voice echoed in Hikaru's ear. It was Dark Balter the Terrible. Don't worry, you'll be a star too, Hikaru teased. My only duty is to serve my lord with loyalty. Oi, was that a jab at me? Meanwhile, Flame Swordsman vanished, and the blazing light turned pitch black, revealing a hulking devil cloaked in green with twisted horns. Dark Balter the Terrible, level 5 Dark, Fiend, 2000 ATK. Battle! Dark Balter, attack the face-down monster. He charged forward, a black sphere forming in his hand before hurling it down, blasting the set monster. That was Test Ape. When it's destroyed by battle, I can special summon one gladiator beast from my deck. I special. Nope. Hikaru casually raised a hand, slicing the air with a finger. What? Yamaguchi stared at his graveyard. The card flickered, and the effect failed. Monster effect. Dark Balter the Terrible's effect negates the effects of monsters it destroys by battle. That card's ancient, isn't it? Come on, as a fusion expert, how could he not know that one? Yamaguchi flushed with embarrassment. He'd gotten too fixated on activating Testape's effect, and totally forgot to check his opponent's card. Dark Balter the Terrible was likely released around the time he'd entered school. Hikaru assessed the field. Gladiator beasts, huh? So, he switched from ancient gears to gladiator beasts? Makes sense. If Egghead was focused on studying sacred beasts, then rolling out a gladiator beast deck to rile up students and stabilize loyalty wasn't a bad plan. If that's the case. Hikaru glanced at his hand, then smiled. I set 2 cards. Turn end. Yamaguchi frowned and drew a card. The set card was the Trap Double Tag Team, which lets you special summon a level 4 or lower gladiator beast when you special summon one from the deck. Once he pulled that off, he could fuse into gladiator beast Jizzurus and destroy Hikaru's field for a fast swing. Honestly, facing Hikaru made him nervous. His reputation wasn't just hype, he had truly crushed the Polymerization Club multiple times. He'd turned their club from fusion to polymerization, a genius first year. As a graduating senior, Yamaguchi had no reason to push this. But Professor Akaba's orders were firm. He had to do this. They even expected resistance. And it made sense. Ever since the rise of the Fusion Club, their club had seen a shortage of new members. Their first-year lounge was almost empty. If all you wanted was a temporary deck like Ancient Gears, why not go with the more popular Hikaru? So, the reps came up with a plan. Use a new deck to attract new students. Normally, Gladiator Beast decks were reserved for top fusion graduates, the elite, such as Akaba's personal special forces. And Yamaguchi had always wanted one, but feared asking. After all, he'd accomplished nothing this year, and the club was tanking. Yet Akaba hadn't scolded him. He'd simply given him the deck. Yamaguchi took a deep breath. Hikaru also had gladiator beasts and claimed to understand fusion inside out. A new deck alone wouldn't guarantee victory. He had to find another angle. Hey, Hikaru. Yamaguchi said, trying to reason with him. Aren't you scared? Scared? Of what? Hikaru looked confused. XYZ. Synchro. Don't you find it all so strange? Huh? Maybe. Hikaru actually hesitated. I've trained for dual monsters since I was a kid. Joined tons of tournaments. Aimed to be pro. Studied all sorts of ways to gather fusion materials. But one day they tell me, forget all that, there's something new. You're not afraid? Hikaru arched an eyebrow. This probably echoed the thoughts of many who still clung to the old club. This world wasn't like Hikaru's old one. Here, card development moved slower. Most people didn't even follow the anime, synchros, XYZ, pendulum, link. They weren't just weird, they broke lifelong understanding. Change was scary. That was normal. But duelists shouldn't fear the new. Hikaru replied, firm. Kaiba just made an epic announcement. Everyone rushed here for these brand new monsters. Scared? No way. Exactly. A duelist must keep climbing new peaks. Chaz nodded passionately beside him, Kaiba's teachings drilled into his head. But don't you think tuners and synchros are too weird? Like another dimension altogether? Fusion is the noblest summoning method. Shouldn't it be the only one? He hoped that line would win Hikaru's favor. Because he knew Hikaru was an even more extreme fusion purist than him. Really? I don't think so. Hikaru shrugged. And anyway, that's not an excuse to hog all the card packs. If you're afraid of new summoning methods, that doesn't give you the right to stop others from pursuing exciting, new cards. You don't have that right. Besides, fusion is the noblest summoning method. But that has nothing to do with any other method. Hikaru crossed his arms, gripping his cards, watching Yamaguchi calmly. I'll prove it to you, senpai. So when that moment comes, stop making excuses. Chapter 105, Listen to the Voice of God. Gulp. In a fleeting moment, Yamaguchi felt a spark of envy, even admiration, for Hikaru. As someone who'd spent 3 years in the Fusion Club, 2 of which under Leo Akaba, he had internalized obedience to the man down to his bones. By following Leo Akaba, he gained powerful decks, overwhelming strength, the status of a Blue Dorm representative, and the comfort of a streamlined academic life. No worries about exams. No need to plan for post-graduation, Professor had it all laid out. He believed fusion is the noblest summoning method because it freed him from thinking about other dimensions. It freed him from the pressure of studying new mechanics. But today, Hikaru presented a completely different ideology. No. He couldn't lose. If he lost, what had the past 3 years even meant? My turn. I remember Dark Balter the Terrible has an effect that lets it negate normal spell cards by paying 1000 LP, right? Hikaru raised an eyebrow and nodded. Then I just won't use any normal spells. I normal summon Gladiator Beast Liquari. He slapped down a card, a fierce beast leaping through a ring of fire. Gladiator Beast Liquari, level 4 Fire, Beast Warrior 1800 ATK. Next, quick play spell, Indomitable Gladiator Beast. It gives 1 Gladiator Beast monster on the field 500 extra ATK until the end of the turn. That puts Liquari at 2300 ATK. Battle. Liquari, attack. The Beast King rode flames straight at the devil. Hikaru raised his hand to block the heat as Dark Balter the Terrible disappeared. Amaki Hikaru, LP, 3700. Gladiator Beasts returned to the deck at the end of battle to special summon another. Bastion, who had attended at some point, folded his arms and said, Hikaru used Jizarus once, a powerful fusion monster that destroys 2 cards when summoned. It doesn't even need polymerization. Just the materials. And Gladiator Beast Darius, one of the materials, can destroy spell/trap cards, he added seriously. Though Hikaru only took 300 damage, the balance of victory seemed to shift. Or did it? Right now, I activate my set card. Hikaru shouted. Trap card, Shad Dalkor. It becomes a monster card and is summoned to the field. A large, black, ominous sphere surged onto the field, which anyone familiar with Hikaru's deck might recognize as well as Winda's head. Shad Dalkor, level 9 Adarka spellcaster, 1450 ATK/1950 def. He summoned a monster during this time? Yamaguchi looked confused. So did the surrounding students. Only Jaden noticed the green-haired spirit by Hikaru's side emerging again, curiously watching. End of battle phase, Liquari returns to deck to special summon a different gladiator beast from the deck. Then, I flip another card. Hikaru snapped his fingers. Witness this moment, everyone. Question mark. Jaden and the others exchanged looks. That tone? Quick play fusion spell, El Shad Dal Fusion. I fused the Shad Dal core on my field and the tuner monster, Shad Dal Falco, from my hand as materials. Tuner monster. Yamaguchi staggered backward. A tuner monster? The crowd echoed in shock. No way. Tuner monsters just arrived at Duel Academy. Even the agents in black suits were rattled, frantically double-checking. Using a tuner as fusion material. Fusion Club students recalled Hikaru's past remarks. He'd meant it seriously all along. That card has the green-haired spirit on it. Chaz focused intently. Was this Hikaru's true ace monster? Oh. Is it finally making its debut? Hikaru's partner? Listen closely. Hikaru slowly drew a monster from his extra deck, holding it up with care. The divine voice, the sacred words, comprehend and obey the will of divinity. Fusion summon. Descend. El Shad Dal Winda. The sky dimmed as Hikaru placed the card on his duel disc. Dark clouds gathered above the shop. A lone figure descended, wielding a staff and riding a mechanical dragon. She had a green side ponytail, metallic joints, and no puppet strings. Except purple threads bound her dragon mount. El Shaddol Winda, Level 5 Dark Spellcaster, 2280k. Ha! Chaz and Jaden blinked, then looked at each other. Hikaru had summoned that monster. But the spirit. She was still floating beside him. Look at the design, Hikaru. Isn't my Winda body beautiful? Well. Hikaru wasn't sure how to answer, since Tiara was currently using Winda's body. Tiara obviously wouldn't go punch people herself. Not only was Hikaru against it, but with her current power, she could kill or seriously injure someone in a duel, and this wasn't a shadow game. Also, though she resided in Winda's card, she never treated it as her home. Unlike other spirits who didn't even manifest, she appeared freely and often beside Hikaru. Proof enough. After all, she was a god and had standards. To send her out for something so petty? Absolutely not. Way beneath her. Now I activate both effects, Shaddol Core and Shaddol Falco from the graveyard. Core lets me add a Shaddol spell/trap from GY to hand. I choose El Shaddol Fusion. Falco's effect lets me special summon it face down. Hikaru retrieved the spell, then displayed Falco before setting it again. This. Yamaguchi stood frozen. He only reacted when the agents urged him to continue his turn. Hikaru really had used a tuner monster as fusion material. He wasn't joking. He truly embraced every summoning method and still believed that fusion was the noblest. He was serious. Yamaguchi shook his head, but the image of Hikaru shouting and using a tuner haunted his mind. His worldview was shaken. And no matter, he shook his head. Anyway, Laquari returns. I special summon Darius. Then, I activate double tag team. It lets me special summon? Hikaru shook his head with a grin. Tiara mirrored him, lifting one finger. Sorry. While Winda is on the field, each player can only special summon once per turn. What? Yamaguchi froze in place. Chapter 106, How do you stop Winda? Sealing special summons? Among the watching duelists, many showed expressions of shock. Yamaguchi struggled, staring at his sealed face-down card. Only after Hikaru's explanation did he notice the purple puppet strings entwined around both himself and Hikaru, particularly the duel disc, where the lockdown cards made him break into a cold sweat. What now? His mind went blank. Sealed special summons. Bastion blinked, then suddenly understood. So that's the answer Hikaru gave us. Ha! Even Chaz looked confused. What do you mean? Chaz, remember? When Hikaru dueled that dimension traveler Haruto Kunigawa in Neo Domino City. Chaz froze, then smacked his fist into his palm. Right. So that's how he shut down other summoning methods. It was simple. Back then, Haruto had used Rescue Rabbit to special summon 2 level 4 monsters and performed the unfamiliar XYZ summon. The real issue wasn't the XYZ monster, or even the Rescue Rabbit. It was matching monsters of the same level. And to do that, special summons were inevitable, so if that got sealed, then even XYZ monsters, which normally didn't need fusion, couldn't come out. And not just that, synchros probably need enough field presence to be summoned from the extra deck too, Bastion muttered. Hikaru, he's once again ahead of me. That Falco was a spellcaster-type tuner, he probably got it from the village of spellcasters. As they talked, other students began to murmur, excitement rippling through the crowd. Only one special summon per turn? That's easier for fusion users to handle. It only has 2200 ATK. Yeah, as long as you fusion something stronger, it's manageable, but XYZ decks can't cope. Exactly. Hikaru did what we couldn't. Ha ha ha. While we were still panicking, he had already found a counterplay. That's our Fusion Club president. Fusion's answer, Amaji Hikaru. Cheers erupted from the crowd. Yamaguchi twitched. You're all focused on the other summonings, but have you considered how hard this is for me? What about my gladiator beasts? He glanced at his hand. Sigh, anyway. Turn end. Ha. My turn. Draw. Hikaru glanced at his drawn card. Battle. Winda, attack gladiator beast Darius. Winda raised her staff, and her dragon mount twitched, then lunged with a ferocious strike. Darius was destroyed. Yamaguchi, LP, 3300. Ugh, this is terrible. Yamaguchi's mind buzzed. I set one card. Turn end. Hikaru casually set a card. My turn. Yamaguchi swallowed. He wasn't sure why Winda only had 2200 ATK, but it felt like she was exerting immense pressure. Yamaguchi looked at his hand. He'd already used Indomitable Gladiator Beast to beat Dark Balter the Terrible. Therefore, he couldn't brute force through Winda now. So, I normal summon Gladiator Beast Samnite. A saber-toothed tiger wielding a sword and shield leapt forth. Gladiator Beast Samnite, Level 3 Earth Beast, 1600 ATK. A Level 3 with 1600 ATK, not bad. But against El Shaddol Winda, it might not help. Yamaguchi wiped his forehead and shouted, "Don't underestimate gladiator beasts. Samnite, attack the set monster." Hikaru stayed still, arms folded. Falco flipped and was smashed by the shield. With only 1400 DEF, it couldn't hold up. But Shaddolls were all about recycling spells/traps from the graveyard, so sending it there was practically like going home. Hikaru merely raised a hand to shield himself from the breeze. End of battle phase, Samnite returns to the deck. I special summon Gladiator Beast Murmillo. Murmillo was a fish. Gladiator Beast Murmillo, Level 3 Water Fish 800 ATK. Murmillo's effect. When special summoned by a Gladiator Beast effect, I destroy a face-up monster on the field, I target El Shaddol Winda. Murmillo lifted a giant conch and blasted a wave at Winda, yet Winda didn't even flinch. Her dragon casually slapped the wave away. What? Sorry. Hikaru shrugged. Winda can't be destroyed by your card effects. Yamaguchi gasped. Not even effect destruction. The audience exchanged stunned looks. So strong. I thought such a cute monster would be average. It already limits special summons and can't be destroyed by effects? Bastion frowned. Don't forget Shaddol Core and Falco both have graveyard recursion effects. This must be alchemy's shattering and reconstruction. Winda probably has a similar trait. Chaz looked pained. If I had to face her, my VWXYZ cards would all be useless. I'd have to rely on Armed Dragon LV Up or Light and Darkness Dragon. No, even tributes are hard to set up. She looked small and cute, while being terrifyingly strong. Hikaru was Professor Banner's favorite student, and he's still studying the alchemy he left behind, Jaden said, both wistful and excited. This monster, it's amazing. Only he could call a female monster amazing with such admiration. Tiara, beside Hikaru, nodded proudly. Meishem, this human has good taste. As the one who revived, rebuilt, and puppeteered Winda, Tiara loved the body. Of course, she'd prefer her own body, but she was perfectly fine using this one for now. So, any more plays? Hikaru asked. Yamaguchi said nothing. He was sweating bullets, staring at his hand, and desperately reviewing his deck. How do I beat Winda? The easiest would be drawing another Indomitable, but that was unlikely. And his monsters would just keep dwindling. Second option, use gladiator effects to summon a monster with more than 2200 ATK. But Falco was gone, no more safe attacks. Plus, though he'd received this deck from the professor, it mostly had easy-to-use low-level monsters. Wait, Book of Moon. Or Diffusion. Yeah, that could send her back to the extra deck. No. I didn't include Diffusion. This gladiator deck doesn't need it. Despite the chilly day, he was drenched in sweat. Finding a solution to wind it ignited his brain, as something woke up, a long-lost flame of dual passion. The real question was, would Hikaru give him enough time to find an answer? Ha! Hikaru chuckled as he watched Yamaguchi deep in thought. Hearing it, Yamaguchi looked up. What? Are you mocking me? No. I meant, you're thinking really hard, senpai. Yamaguchi blinked. When faced with something new, something unknown, we experiment, learn, try, challenge. That's what duelists do. Otherwise, why did we enroll in this academy? Hikaru looked at a card in his hand. If we try hard when facing fusion monsters, why can't we do the same for other summoning types? Fusion was never the most unique. There's tribute, ritual, Gemini. If you truly believe fusion is the noblest, how can you reject the others? Fusion is the noblest summoning method, because it embraces all others. Synchro, XYZ, rituals, we should accept them all. They can all become fusion and fusion materials. Senpai, looks like this is the end. Trap card, Fusion Reserve. I reveal twin-headed Thunder Dragon and add one Thunder Dragon to hand, then activate its effect to add the other two Thunder Dragons from my deck to hand. And then Hikaru flipped the card he'd drawn first. Normal spell, Polymerization. Polymerization, of course. The purest form of fusion. Yamaguchi closed his eyes. He had lost. Completely. In cards. In understanding. In dueling. In belief. In character. Not a single area he could compare. In his mind, 3 years of his own actions flashed by. As an upperclassman, a blue dorm rep, he knew just how many awful things he had done, which he couldn't go back on. He didn't deserve to. He opened his eyes and saw before him a fusion user who summoned thunder dragons without fear. That was fusion. A single thought crossed his mind, so blasphemous it startled even him. But he couldn't deny it. Amaji Hikaru was more fusion than any of us who call ourselves the Fusion Army. Chapter 107, After Graduation? Yamaguchi was knocked flying by the dragon controlled by Winda, landing half-sitting on the ground. Yamaguchi. Are you okay? The red and yellow dorm polymerization club reps rushed to his side. He glanced at them, took a deep breath, and looked up at Hikaru. You really are something, Amaji Hikaru. I lost. So, I won't participate in the new card acquisition. So direct. The surrounding students were surprised. Normally, with a duel having a pre-declared wager, especially one with Kaiba Corp witnesses, the loser was expected to uphold their word. After all, that's what duel means. But if the loser was from the Polymerization Club? Then it became uncertain. Those guys usually try to avoid consequences, lessen penalties, or shift blame. For someone like Yamaguchi to admit defeat and honor the terms? Incredibly rare. Hikaru put away his deck and took a few steps forward, offering his hand. But Yamaguchi shook his head and, with help from his teammates, stood up. Hikaru, don't get involved with people like us. He sighed deeply. Even if I wanted to witness fusion's infinite potential, I don't think I deserve it. Good luck, Amaji Hikaru. Hikaru raised an eyebrow in surprise, then said, Senpai, I look forward to our next duel. Yamaguchi, however, shook his head again. If I can help it, I'd rather not. It's kind of embarrassing. He scratched his head. Meanwhile, seeing things were starting to relax, Cyrus shouted while waving cash at Tome-san. Tome-san. 5 packs of the new cards. Me too. Same here, 5 boosters please. Ha ha ha. Everyone will get theirs. Line up, line up. Hikaru glanced over but didn't rush. Instead, he turned back toward the 3 polymerization reps. Just then, Chaz joined him. He'd already told Jaden and the others that Kaiba Corp would reserve him 5 packs, so he wasn't in a hurry. He wanted to check in on Hikaru, who'd just finished a duel. Yamaguchi rubbed his hair, looking at Hikaru and Chaz. After a long pause, he muttered, Hikaru. Someone like me, not very talented, with not the best grades, gets beaten by you and Kaiser so easily. What can I even do after graduation? Hikaru and Chaz exchanged a glance and immediately caught the underlying message. Wait, is Egghead assigning jobs too? Hikaru pinched his brow. But thinking about it, in canon, those foot soldiers from the Fusion Army only used ancient gear junk. Sure, there were elites like Dennis who used ancient gears, but the truly powerful Fusion soldiers didn't use those cards. And besides ancient gears, the Fusion Army also had the Gladiator Beast Special Forces. But in this world, aside from the dual spirit with a monocle, Hikaru had rarely seen anyone from the Polymerization Club use Gladiator Beasts. Before now, no one used them. Even the club president, Kamashiro Shinrin, only used ancient gears. But today, Yamaguchi brought out a Gladiator Beast deck. Which meant, Leo Akaba had Gladiator Beasts ready all along, and they just weren't given to current students. So, they were for graduates? That explains it. Hikaru suddenly understood. Yamaguchi was trying to send a message. The true strength under Leo Akaba isn't the current Polymerization Club. It's the past one. Hikaru had successfully changed the club's direction and founded the new Fusion Club with his own hands, which even Yamaguchi respected. But what about beyond that? Right now, Hikaru had only cut off the water supply. Yamaguchi chose his words carefully, though in the end, he said nothing and turned toward the card shop. Scared? Chaz asked casually, arms folded. Ha! As if. I'm pumped. Hikaru clenched a fist. I just completed half of my mission. Ha ha ha. Chaz laughed. Cut off the source, uproot the roots. Just thinking about it got Chaz fired up too. He had studied his mentor's life, and as a youth, he too had stood against all sorts of bizarre forces. There were crises, sure, while in the end, he and justice always triumphed. He wanted to chase his mentor's legacy. Groups like the Polymerization Club, so twisted and abstract, deserved to be crushed. At that moment, seeing things had wrapped up, the black-suited agents approached. They greeted Chaz with a bow, Master Chaz. One lifted a box and presented it to Hikaru. This is the latest set of rare cards. Amagi Hikaru, since you won the duel, you may choose one from within. Though labeled rare, they were just ordinary tuner monsters, even vanilla ones. But in this world, they were rarer than rare. Tiara floated out, arms crossed, inspecting the box, commenting here and there, then pointed to a card for Hikaru. I'll take this one. Hikaru didn't bother with small talk. He simply picked the card. Gen X controller? Chaz noticed and tilted his head. That one can be used as fusion material too? He was actually more curious about what Winda's fusion materials were. Winda's materials are Shad Doll and Dark Monsters, Hikaru said offhandedly. I see. Like Jaden's hero spirits. Chaz nodded. Elsewhere, Jaden waved, shouting at them. Hikaru, Chaz, hurry up. Everyone's drawn their cards. Just waiting on you too. Chaz turned and shouted back, ha ha ha. Get ready to witness the unmatched draw power of Chaz Princeton Lightning. Then, instantly flipping moods, he bowed politely to the agents. We leave it to you. The agents nodded in unison. We've equipped the company's latest dimensional locator to monitor Professor Akaba's portal activity. Rest assured. Thank you for your work. Hikaru added. Kaiba sure spares no expense on Chaz's education. Chaz. Hikaru. Their friends called again. The two didn't linger and ran toward the shop. Meanwhile, Hikaru couldn't help feeling a little excited inside. New cards. Time to draw. Chapter 108, Drawing New Cards. Come on, let's draw. In the Fusion Club, Hikaru and his friends gathered around a table, as Selena sat beside him, curiously leaning in. Whoever draws the first rare card today treats everyone. Jaden raised his hand with a laugh, setting the rule. Ha ha ha, looks like dinner's on me tonight. Atticus brushed his hair confidently. Don't be fooled by appearances. I was once called the king of the academy, my card-pulling luck was top tier. I heard from Zane you've never pulled the egg sandwich, Alexis grinned. I got 3 in a row. At Duel Academy, even the filling of the cafeteria sandwiches was randomized. Pulling the rarest one was a student tradition for proving the draw luck. Both Jaden and Ches had tried it before. What? Alexis, you're that strong now? Atticus looked devastated. Nearby students who hadn't returned to their dorms began cheering, and the clubroom buzzed with energy. Hikaru wasn't too confident about his luck since he had reason to doubt it. Before becoming top of his grade, Hikaru used to buy bread every day, and only ever got chestnut buns. Even afterward, his pulls were just as bland. He went to Neodomino City to buy packs, but Growler and Zane later explained that those shops only sold leftover stock from other dimensions, and rare cards were nearly impossible. Even during casual, random duels with club members, he rarely pulled flashy combos and sometimes lost because of it. When it came to unserious duels or pure fun, his supernatural powers offered no help, and his naturally poor luck showed. That's why Hikaru focused on alchemy, card crafting, and directly buying what he needed. At least that way, it'd result in no heartbreak. With a flurry of noise, they stacked the card packs. Carefully creating a slit, they pressed down and snipped the top open with scissors. Hikaru opened his pack. First card, a normal monster. Flame Manipulator. Hikaru twitched. My apologies, Master, Flame Swordsman's awkward voice came. Ha ha ha, what are you apologizing for? Tiara was watching for fun and burst out laughing. Your fusion material being drawn first should be an honor. Flame Swordsman coughed sheepishly. Oh, Flame Manipulator, Bastion pulled the same low-level normal. That was normal in this world. It is fusion material for Flame Swordsman. Not bad, Hikaru. As everyone muttered, the first 5 packs were opened, 25 cards total. Mostly normals. A few spell and trap cards, none really useful. Just as they sighed at the lack of big pulls, Alexis suddenly raised her hand in delight. Yes. Everyone looked her way. She didn't notice and cheered with her eyes closed. Atticus, the troll he was, snapped 2 pictures on his camera. These will fetch a good price from Alexis fans. Brother! Alexis snapped out of it and shoved him, only to realize everyone was staring. Face turning red, she lowered her head, raised a fist to her mouth, and coughed. Ahem. I drew a super rare card. She flipped it around for everyone to see. A uniquely blue card, a very rare monster card, a ritual monster. Cyber Angel Natasha. The crowd froze. The match just started, and it was already over? Wow, a card from the Cyber Angel archetype, Bastion said. So cool. Alexis. Jaden cheered. And that effect looks strong too. It really was, Hikaru remembered it. Healing, attack disruption, and brute force in this world, extremely strong. Plus, duelists like Alexis didn't care about bricking, so ritual summon restrictions meant little. Such good luck, Hikaru admired. See that? That's Alexis' draw power. Atticus proudly inserted himself into her glory. My treat, my treat. In this world, pulling a rare card was worth far more than a meal, so treating wasn't a loss. Now that Alexis had pulled something big, everyone relaxed and resumed pulling. Soon, even luck gods like Jaden and Chaz pulled rare cards. Maybe not useful, but still rare. Bastion eventually got a powerful one too, hiding it with a cough and saying it was for a future duel against Hikaru. What's going on? Tiara's earlier smug grin was gone. No way. Watching Hikaru constantly pull average cards, even she wanted in. The ever-competitive newbie forced her will into Hikaru's body, using puppet strings to guide his hand. But the results. Clearly, both their luck sucked. Just 1 pack left. Well, not bad. Got 2 usable fusion materials, Hikaru said casually. He didn't mind. He already got Gen X controller, so even without anything big, it was fine as fusion fodder. Master, let me try. Selena couldn't take it anymore and raised her hand. You want to? Hikaru handed her the last pack. Watching someone else pull cards without getting to do it yourself? That was frustrating. Especially for someone with card cravings like Selena. She'd been watching for a while, itching to try. Seeing that Hikaru didn't mind, she cheered, politely accepted the pack with both hands, and gently placed it on the table like a holy ritual. The students smiled knowingly. Thinking about it, she'd always been locked away, her cards forcibly given. This was her first real card pull. Selena carefully snipped the pack and slowly pulled out the cards. First card. Normal monster. Toon warrior. Not bad for a normal, being a tuner. Second. Third. Still pretty average. While Hikaru didn't care much, Selena seemed a bit disappointed. Until the last card. A faint light shimmered from it. Hikaru blinked, then jumped up in excitement. Incredible, Selena! Hikaru praised. Your draw power's 10 times, no, 9 times stronger than mine. From now on, I'm leaving all new pack openings to you. This is your master's only request. Oh okay. Selena pumped her fist, beaming. It was the first time she'd heard Hikaru truly call himself her master. And Hikaru had good reason to be excited. She'd just pulled the Dark Hex-Sealed Fusion. Chapter 109, Light. The appearance of new cards was never going to be a quiet affair at Duel Academy. These fresh monsters weren't just stronger in stats, some even supported special summoning, so for students who didn't normally have access to strong cards, they were a huge boost. Just by looking at the excited atmosphere, Hikaru knew the upcoming exams, especially the practical tests, would be a battlefield. What surprised him more was that, after this whole card release event, Leo Akaba hadn't sent any assassins to cause trouble. No possessed dual spirits, no students infused with sacred beasts. It was as if he didn't even care. But in fact, he did. Leo Akaba had his hands tied by another matter. First, he discovered Kaiba Corp was investigating him. As a brilliant scientist, it didn't take long, after 2 interdimensional transfers, he noticed his teleportation trail being tracked. Only Kaiba Corp could manage that, aside from the late Professor Banner. He had considered Growler, but the man never displayed significant research skills. If Growler did have this ability, Leo would seriously question his presence at the academy. After all, he chose to hide here for its convenience and secrecy. Just imagining Growler smiling while betraying him gave him a stomachache. Because of that, Leo couldn't visit his base frequently anymore. He had to either find the investigators or issue commands remotely for now. Second, he was in the middle of meeting a powerful entity. In a vast, pristine white chamber, Leo Akaba sat solemnly in a small chair, facing a cloaked figure whose face was completely hidden by white robes. The figure stared silently at a card on the table. Just as Leo was about to suspect he'd fallen asleep, the man spoke. Upright. Leo immediately refocused. Light now bathes you. Your heart will find calm. The cycle of karma shall be laid bare, and the world will reveal its true form to your eyes. The voice was gentle, while also profoundly eerie. This jade-toned young man spoke slowly. Every word was understandable, though the phrases strung together into something mystical and strange. You're saying, my goal will be fulfilled? It is destiny. Destiny? Leo smirked. The thing I trust the least. Regardless, destiny cannot be altered. The man gathered the cards. If the light never fades, your goal will be achieved. Leo didn't reply, but his resolve was clear. Also, Dr. Akaba, about what you asked of me earlier, after long thought, I must refuse. Leo's gaze turned sharp. Are you sure you won't reconsider? The man's face finally cracked into a wide, exaggerated smile. The destiny I must embrace is not something you can shape. There is only one person who can change my life. Only one person. Leo glanced at a youth standing quietly against the wall. He had silver-white hair, blue eyes, and a noble air in his silver suit. Likely younger than Jaden and Hikaru. At the moment, he leaned on the wall, lost in thought. Still, for the next entrance exam, Aster can attend Duel Academy. That's enough. Leo, though disappointed, accepted it. Because he knew who that was, Aster Phoenix. Maximilian Pegasus, the father of duel monsters, once named him the fourth strongest duelist in the world, after Yugi, Kaiba, and Joey. Aster's deck brimmed with powerful cards. He had a guardian spirit. And most importantly, his best friend was Sartorius, an ally to Leo Akaba. Even if Aster didn't follow Leo, his support alone was valuable. Then, I'll take my leave, Sartorius said, rising and leaving the Grand Divination Hall. Once he was gone, Aster finally spoke. Duel Academy? You want me to go there? Playing kids' games with children? Despite being a year younger than Jaden, Aster was already a professional duelist, undefeated to date. Being asked to join a school like that baffled him. Also, I've heard of this Leo Akaba. His reputation is awful. Even within Kaiba Corp, plenty dislike him. His so-called fusion club was just recently overthrown by students, wasn't it? What could I possibly learn from him? Embarrassment? He couldn't understand his best friend's thinking. Sartorius was born with the power of foresight. He could see anyone's future, a genius with spiritual compatibility beyond normal comprehension. Aster, Sartorius's tone softened, I've seen it, a future where we escape from fate's suffering. Huh? Because of Leo Akaba? Sartorius shook his head. Perhaps someone else. The light of fate now shines so brightly, even I can only glimpse fragments. This world, no, countless dimensions interweave. Fate grows ever more complex. But I can see one thing, that light is growing stronger. Sartorius had once foreseen his destiny to destroy the world in light. Through divination, he found Aster Phoenix, his destined friend who could change that. Yet as he aged and the world accelerated, he felt his fate solidifying. He even contemplated surrendering to it. Until 2 months ago, in a shattered dimension, he met Leo Akaba and saw a new possibility. In Leo, he saw a reflection of himself. I see, Aster muttered, rubbing his brow. After a pause, he sighed in resignation. Fine. I'll go check it out. Duel Academy, huh? He called it a childish playground, but having never properly attended an academy himself, he admitted it might be a rare experience. 2 months from now, he'd visit. Meanwhile, at Duel Academy, things entered a new phase. It was time for midterm exams. With Professor Banner gone, the alchemy course was discontinued, and Hikaru's best subject for gaining a lead over others was gone. Bastion and Ches both fired up, determined to surpass him. But first came combat. And as fate would have it, Hikaru's test opponent was Bastion Misawa. This is our first official duel in the academy, right? Bastion adjusted his uniform, standing tall before Hikaru. Hikaru nodded. They had tried to duel or work together before, but it always fell through. Whoever wins becomes the top of our grade. This time, it's me, Hikaru. Bastion declared passionately. Heh, Bastion, talk like that after you win. Hikaru snapped back. Go, Hikaru. Bastion, don't let him off easy. Good luck, both of you. Friends gathered after finishing their own tests, cheering them on. Both duelists, ready. The referee, Professor Sartor of the Yellow Dorm, called out. Seeing his 2 prized students so fired up, even he felt hyped. Begin! Both activated their duel discs and shouted. Duel! Bastio, LP, 4000. Hikaru, LP, 4000. Chapter 110, Black Luster Soldier as Fusion Material? I'll go first. My turn, draw. Bastion quickly drew a card, glanced at it, and smiled. Hikaru, I should thank you. Thank me? Hikaru blinked. He hadn't given Bastion anything unusual, in fact, he often purposely got his name wrong. Interesting. What do you mean, Rex? I used to rotate decks all the time, building different ones to counter different people. But watching you duel made me realize what I lacked. That is, conviction. Hikaru's eyes narrowed. Until now, I never held firm to one belief. But now, Hikaru, I want you to witness my new deck. Wow, Bastion's really fired up today, Jaden leaned in, intrigued. Hey, don't block everyone else. Chaz shouted, then added, Bastion was basically a bystander during the 7 Stars incident. He must be unhappy with that. Why are all the boys suddenly so fired up? Alexis sighed. I summon in attack position, mathematician. A white-bearded man with sunglasses and a staff materialized. Mathematician, level 3 Earth spellcaster, 1500 ATK. Hikaru arched a brow. It was a spirit card. When this card is summoned, I can send one level 4 or lower monster from my deck to the graveyard. He flipped open his deck, and it auto-ejected a card by instinct. I send Carbonetin to the grave. Under pressure over the years, Carbon becomes something else. I banish Carbonetin to activate its effect. Special summon one level 7 or lower normal monster from my deck. I special summon Hyozanryu. From black coal to gleaming crystal, the black-scaled dragon transformed into a dazzling diamond beast. Hyozanryu, level 7 light dragon, 2800 def. Hikaru glanced at Carbonetin. So it was that version of Carbonetin. They'd never dueled before, so he never knew what Bastion's deck looked like. I set one card. Turn end. A 1500 ATK and 2800 def monster off one card? Pretty strong, a student muttered. That's insanely strong. But after watching Hikaru's duels, this kind of field seems normal now? Still, it was impressive. To Hikaru, the real strength was the low hand cost, meaning hidden potential. 4,300 combined stats also guaranteed that even if LP were lost, it wouldn't hurt much. Nonetheless, Hikaru glanced at his hand and smirked. My turn. He drew and peeked at it, then said to him. Bastion, if that's all, I don't see much conviction. So your set card, that must be your true resolve, huh? Bastion only smiled. Then I won't hold back. Field spell, fusion recycling plant. Ting ting tang, clinks and clangs. The dual platform transformed as machinery and equipment materialized everywhere. Robots flew through the arena, scanning for data. I discard Metalfoe's fusion from my hand to activate recycling plant's effect. I add polymerization from my deck or GY to my hand. Bastion frowned slightly. Polymerization? He didn't choose diffusion or fusion substitute to recover combos, he added straight polymerization? Which means? Friends exchanged shocked glances. Hikaru was seriously fusing today. I activate the spell card, polymerization. Today, Hikaru's version was an alternate art polymerization. Fusion materials, Dark Magician and a Chaos Ritual monster. He revealed his hand. I use the Dark Hexial fusion to replace Dark Magician, then fuse it with Black Luster Soldier from my hand. Black Luster Soldier. No way. Isn't that the strongest warrior ever? The crowd jumped from their seats. Even Professor Sartor leaned in to glimpse the legendary card. Black Luster Soldier. One power leads to light, one to darkness. Hikaru drew a deep breath and slammed his hands together. When light and dark intertwine, chaos descends. Appear now. Level 8, Master of Chaos. A spellcaster clad in jet black armor slowly descended from the void. Master of Chaos, level 8 Dark spellcaster, 3000 ATK. See Chaos, what? Though it wasn't the first time they'd seen the Master of Chaos, the last time Hikaru used Metamorphosis to summon it. This time was real fusion. And one of the materials was Black Luster Soldier. He actually owns Black Luster Soldier? Students buzzed in shock, while ritual duelist Alexis was already dizzy. That was one of the rarest cards ever. Meanwhile, yesterday Hikaru said his luck sucked. That card's collector value alone was beyond a student's budget. The crowd exploded with chatter. Even anti-fusion club students from the Polymerization Club craned their necks to see. But now, it had become something else. Master of Chaos's effect. If fusion summoned, target one light or dark monster in your GY and special summon it. Return to me, the dark, hex-sealed fusion. Various materials converged, reforming into a strange, orb-bodied creature. The dark, hex-sealed fusion, level 3 dark rock 1080k. Master of Chaos, attack Hyozanryu. He raised his sword, swung lightly, and Hyozanryu shattered before it could react. Ugh! Bastion winced at the pressure. Black Luster Soldier, the mythical warrior card. Even a 2800 death wall was nothing. Hikaru glanced at his hand. I activate Metalfoe's fusion in the GY, return it to the deck, then draw one card. He drew. I set one card. Turn end. End phase, I activate Fusion Recycling Plant. Target one fusion material used this turn in your GY and add it to my hand. Hikaru raised his dual discarm. Ding ding. A small drone buzzed over with a tray, gently returning a card to his hand. Wow, that's the Black Luster Soldier. So shiny. So cool. The audience forgot it was a test. Even duelists, farther, at other tables stopped mid-duel. That's how powerful the legend of BLS was. Black Luster Soldier is that popular? Jaden scratched his head. Why aren't you shocked? Chaz scowled. Ah, right. You're a hero idiot. You probably don't get what BLS means to other warrior duelists. Yeah. Jaden leaned back, arms folded. He had been excited the first time he saw BLS. But after witnessing the original BLS, Hikaru's copy didn't hit the same. Still, he wasn't the type to brag, so he just watched curiously. My turn. Bastion smiled as he drew. As expected, Hikaru. That's just like you. Even with a legendary card like BLS, you still use it as fusion material. You never abandon your core belief. And that's something I never used to do. But now. That's all in the past. He widened his eyes and pressed a button. Because now, I'm aiming for a new realm. Draw, I activate the continuous trap, ultimate offering. As long as this is face up, I can pay 500 LP to perform an additional normal summon. Hikaru raised an eyebrow. Wow, a banned card. Without hesitation, Bastion revealed his card. I normal summon, Chemicritter Carbo Crab. That wraps up this part of What If Fusion deck user in a different Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Quick reminder. What If copy system in Naruto will be going on hold soon, since we've nearly caught up with the author. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these 3 fanfics. What if transmigrated in One Piece and becoming a marine? What if transmigrated as Minato Namikaze? What if transmigrated into a nightmare mode Dragon Ball world? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.